How can estate agents get higher fees? Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Simon Gates, business generation extraordinaire, guru to the masses. Simon, how do estate agents get higher estate agency fees? Talk to me.
Well, I think first of all, charge what you're worth, be worth what you charge.
It's very easy to say, mate.
It is very easy to say. And I think that there's too many agents who are asking the seller for a higher fee, but they're not investing in themselves or their marketing. So you've got to do it at both ends. It's all well and good saying, I'm worth 2% and trying to get in the living room, but and then you're not paying for video tours, or you're not getting the right marketing done, the right training, etc., not paying your team members correctly. So you've got to get all of those right. So get your base foundation, then the higher fees will come.
It's chicken and the egg, though, isn't it? You have to invest to make yourself better, to make yourself worth it, but I might not have the money to do that.
Yeah.
Hard, isn't it?
It is hard. It's a vicious cycle. I think there's so many different vicious cycles in a state agency, and I guess generally in any walk of life. But there's so many like free or cheap things that you can do to improve. And then once you've got that coming in, you can then start perhaps investing more financially. So one free tip, for example, someone we both know well, Luke St. Clair from Knightsbridge. So his mobile phone app, KB-Properties or Knightsbridge colleague, is absolutely ridiculous. He should be charging for it. But that app, I started using that in 2019 when he first produced it. My conversion rate went up, my fees went up, because I was able to demonstrate on my mobile phone for free that I got more money in my seller's back pocket, or the other agent was costing them money from that fear of loss. That helped me get a higher fee, and that cost me nothing. So to your point, well, it's hard to do because you've got to invest first. That cost me no more money to do that.
That mindset, that's a killer one, isn't it? Because again, I've noticed, we're going to be talking about it in a lot more detail later in a separate video, is the mindset of people and what they charge. And there's a huge link, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think, well, that's the biggest point. Forget everything else. The first point, 100%, is mindset. And I only realized this, I think, more so recently. So mindset is one, again, the disc profiling that I know you're a huge fan of, the typical valuer lister, whatever they're called. They're going in there wanting to win the listing, and if they lose it, that's very annoying. So it's quite easy to just drop the fee. I think there's also times of that mindset. It's also the ego. So if I look back, it wasn't that I wanted to have my board outside. I did not want my competitors to have their board outside. So when it's like, oh, but the other agents are doing it for X, I'm like, I don't want their board outside. So you've got to park your ego to one side, have a growth mindset over a fixed mindset, and that will definitely help.
Estate agents are quite egotistical, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
And the fear of losing a listing and letting someone else win, I think, is one of our biggest weaknesses.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's you've made me think of the saying, was it revenues, vanity, profit, sanity? Typically that seller who wants the 0.5%, they're going to be the one who is an absolute pain in the backside. So they might massage your ego. That's the instant gratification that we spoke about in a previous video. But the delayed gratification is passing them to one side, knowing that the next client is going to pay you the fee that you're worth.
I always find it fascinating that whenever a valuer loses a listing, they always say, come back to me if you change your mind, because it's kind of, they're shunning them. They don't make it easy for the punter to come back to them, do they?
So that's a really good point that you made there. So a couple of things on that. I used to call them lost market appraisals. And in the CRM system, I had a report set up for lost market appraisals. If I went back in time, I'd change that to win backs. I think Michelle Gallagher calls them win backs. But in my last year in agency, I think the figure was 18% of what I sold was a lost MA originally. Now, to your point, I'll just let me know if you change your mind. That's just not acceptable, because if you're the seller and you've had 3 agents out, you're probably not going with the other 2, are you?
No, you're not.
Because you feel like, I told you so, isn't it?
Yeah, you're making the vendor look silly, like come back.
Yeah.
It's a bit like if someone leaves you, they say, if you change your mind, love, give us a call. They're not coming back to you.
Yeah. So what you got to do is make it so easy for them to come back to you. So when I used to lose a listing, I used to have a box of thank you cards at the back of the office, simply writing that, "Dear Chris, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and appraise your property. It's lovely to meet you. Hopefully can find you next home. Best wishes, Simon." I'd go and knock on your door and hand deliver that. And they would say, "You were so gracious and defeat." The other agent who lost out, they said, "Oh, I can't believe you're going with that agent. They're rubbish." Now, I find it fascinating that those people that came back to me, so about 18% of the time, they paid me a higher fee than what my average fee was. So they'd been there, done that, got a t-shirt of bad estate agency and realized, "Simon, we should go with you. You were right on price, you were right on fee." Now, when I originally lost that listing, of course, I kicked the filing cabinet and moan that they wanted too much money and a cheap fee. But then I would look back at it and go, what could I have done better?
We have to learn to love to lose the listing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
I'm not saying that you shouldn't love losing, but learn to put your ego on the shelf and make it easy for them to come back to. Make it so easy.
Yeah.
But we don't, do we? Because we're like estate agents are like sharks. It's the deal, it's the deal, it's the deal. And if you're worried about hitting your targets, just have a system that covers these guys that you lose. Believe in yourself and learn to lose.
Yeah.
Learn to love to lose.
Just on that side of things, it might be Jeff Bezos who's said, like with Amazon, is that the one great idea pays for the 9 bad ideas that are in the graveyard and some. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. You've got to constantly be experimenting. And just on the point of like trying to win back those lost appraisals, I used a little tip for anyone watching. I used to, as I said, have a report of a list, and I used to ring lost market appraisals. It might only be one, it could be 5, a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon. Why did I put in my diary to contact lost appraisals on a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon?
Because at the weekend, that's when normally the action happens,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
So Monday morning, ring you up. "Hey, Chris, how's everything going?" "Oh, it's been really quiet." "Oh, we just sold 5 houses at the weekend. The market's definitely not quiet. What's your estate agent saying?" And on a Friday afternoon, "Hi, Chris, how's everything going?" "Oh, we've got no viewings in diary. That's strange. I'm back to back Saturday, Sunday this weekend."
If I could share a tip with you is I advise my clients to create a broadcast list on WhatsApp. So it's not a group, it's a broadcast list. And I put my lost vendor into 2 lists. One is the type of house that they're looking for, and the other one is the type of house they own. So if they own a 3-bedroom semi in Grantham and they're looking for a 4-bedroom detached in Grantham, they'll be there. Bob Smith, 4 Acacia Avenue, looking 4-bed detached, owns 3-bed semi, and they would go into both WhatsApp groups, and then not groups, broadcast lists. And whenever once a week, whenever I say they were looking at 4 beds, I would actually text them all, because a broadcast list allows you to send one message to many. It's not a group, and say, "I know you own a 4-bed. I know you're looking for a 4-bedroom detached house. Here's a couple of them which I thought could be of interest for you." And then also, if they're looking for a 3-bedroom semi, if they own a 3-bedroom semi, here's some 3-bedroom semis that are similar to yours. This is your competition, just to give you a flavour of what's happening in the market. And if you word it the right way, you being a owner of a 3-bedroom semi, thought you might be interested, then it's an excuse using technology to get your message out there.
So going back to the original point of getting higher fees, that is a great demonstration of how to get higher fees. Prospecting works best when it feels like a service. When you're doing that broadcast channel like that, which, like, again, any agents watching this who are not using a broadcast channel on WhatsApp, they 100% should be doing it. But that is a great way to get more feed. Like, be there. So they've not chosen you this time round, but act like they've chosen you. You're going to get a higher fee when they come on to you second
Too
time.
right. Thank you for your time today, Simon.
You're welcome.